啊，从今天开始，我们玩一款游戏叫《史坦利的寓言》。我听说过这款游戏很久了。这款游戏说的是关于选择，还有讨论游戏意义啊之类那样的话题，然后我就一直很感兴趣。我是带着怎么样的一种心情来玩这款游戏呢？为什么那么感兴趣呢？因为对我来说，其实游戏选择意义，其实就跟人生没有什么太大的区别。这对我来说，游戏、人生游戏对我来说都是体验，都是差不多的。我直接开始吧，都是差不多的东西，都是体验，都是学习，归根到底都是自己的感觉。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
说
And
的
then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
可以控制了吧？这个游戏好不容易我找汉化找了一段时间，然后不知道为什么这个字体还是稍微有点偏大，估计视频的观众得认真一点看。哎，我怎么把输入法给调出来了？得仔细看一下这个字才能看得清楚这字说的是啥。这个为什么我是427员工？哈哈，每天就按按钮，然后今天没有按钮按，那很奇怪啊，对吧？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
啊，对啊，
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
这人都跑
No
哪去
matter
了？
how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
人都跑哪去了？帮我调一下这个鼠标灵敏度。看你的人都跑哪去了？我的办公室也关了，开不了，这啥人都不见了，啥意思啊？去那个会议室，这是什么地方？有些门是外面是没有那个，
Stanley came
诶，
to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his left.
感觉这个旁白在给我指引啊，他叫我 他没有说叫我直接走进左边这个门，他就说哦，我走进了左边的这个门。可是游戏还给我右边的门走，我应该走哪个呀？先走左边吧。那门就关上了。哎，这是会议室吗？
Yet there was not a single person here
也没人。
either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
啊，去老板的办公室。如何解决与同事之间的不和？使用幻灯片来安抚员工。哈哈哈哈。所有人都是独特的，尤其是你。哎，这不是我经常对我自己说的话吗？走，门又关上了。杂物室，哎，可以开呀。
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
什么都没有。你老是说这个旁白，老是说什么都没有啊，或者说啊，
There
你
was
走左
nothing
边。
here, no choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
我肯定这里肯定有东西。到处摁一下。
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing anything. At least if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way. As it is, he's literally just standing there doing sweet FA.
墙能开吗？
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why? Please offer me some explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
我在看有没有密道啊。
You do realize there's no choice or anything in here, right? If I'd said Stanley walked past the broom closet, at least you would have had a reason for exploring it to find out. But it didn't even occur to me because literally this closet is of absolutely no significance to the story whatsoever. I never would have thought to mention it.
你自己编故事是你自己的问题，我是觉得挺有意义
Maybe
的。
to you this is somehow its own branching path. Maybe when you go talk about this with your friends, you'll say, "Oh, did you get the broom closet ending? The broom closet ending was my favorite." I hope your friends find this concerning.
听你说这些，我就觉得挺有意义的。
Stanley was fat and ugly and really, really stupid. He probably only got the job because of a family connection. That's how stupid he is. That or with drug money. Also, Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
这个旁白有点意思。
Well, I've come to a very definite conclusion about what's going on right now. You're dead. You got to this broom closet, explored it a bit, and were just about to leave because there's nothing here, when a physical malady of some sort shut down your central nervous system and you collapsed on the keyboard. Well, in a situation like this, the responsible thing is to alert someone nearby so as to ensure that your body is taken care of before it begins to decompose. Hello? Anyone who happens to be nearby? The person at this computer is dead. He or she has fallen prey to any number of your countless human physiological vulnerabilities. It's indicative of the long-term sustainability of your species. Please remove their corpse from the area and instruct another human to take their place at the computer, making sure they understand basic first-person video game mechanics and filling them in on the history of narrative tropes in video gaming, so that the irony and insightful commentary of this game is not lost on them. All right, when you've done that, just step out into the hallway.
这好像真的没什么东西啊。哎，能出去吗？哦，好，可以。我以为他把我关在这儿了。
Ah, second player. It's good to have you on board. I guarantee you can't do any worse than the person who came before you.
这为什么一定要按照他说的做呢？对吧？ 这是我在
Coming
玩
to a
啊。
staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
上楼是办公室是吧？我去下面看看。开不了。这下面有什么呀？
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
还是这儿，是不是梦有
Stanley began screaming.
有那么重要吗？
Someone wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
啥也没有了。然后
This
呢
is the story of a woman named Mariella.
？Mary 是谁啊？
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
你难道不应该救一下这个人吗？又重来，刚刚是其中一个结局是吧？哈哈哈哈。行吧。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
是不是梦有那么重要吗？你怎么知道我们现在是不是在一个梦里面呢？曾经我很纠结，就是说，
Stanley came to a set of two open doors. He entered the door on his
我
left.
走右边。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
员工休息室是吧？
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
走吧。
Eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
他叫我走这条路是吗？我不走。禁止撒谎，如果你正在撒谎，马上停下。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
这个旁白又开始来了。我曾经就很纠结，这世界到底是不是真的？是不是就像黑客帝国那样？我之前看黑客帝国看的太多了，后来我发现这种是不是？哎，这啥？在货物升降机移动的时候，禁止往下跳，会导致死亡。乱用货梯将罚款多少钱？跳下货梯将罚款多少钱？那我可以上去吗？
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
谁啊？就后来我发现，这世界是不是真实的？其实这个问题没意义就不大了。要是人的意义就是学习体验的话，其实是这个哎，全是黑的。要是人的意义、人生的意义都是学习跟体验的话，那是不是真的其实就不重要了？这全是黑的。有。
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, Then pick up the phone.
为什么一定要接呢？为什么一定要相信你呢？我不接会怎么样？我也走不了。我能不接吗？你真直接把插头拔了吧？哎，真拔了。
A white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one. Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check.
这个旁白已经快崩溃了。
Here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
还有教学视频啊！
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person, but if used incorrectly can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Stephen has a choice. He could spend years helping improve the quality of life for citizens of impoverished third world nations. Or he could systematically set fire to every orphan living in a 30-kilometer radius of his house. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack."
实践。
Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back.
这实践嘛，这
You
是。
noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
反正这个旁白就觉得我一直没有在做所谓正确的选择，所以他想教导我怎么做正确的选择。刚刚那个教学片还挺搞笑。那问题来了，什么叫正确呢？每个人对正确都有自己的一个定义吧。有可能你们视频观众在看我这个走来走去，觉得啊，你这走来走去干嘛呀？我就想到处看看呗。 我觉得挺有意思这游戏。
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
哎，我发现这个升降机多了一个护栏啊！本来刚刚没有护栏的时候，其实我可以跳到那个房间的那儿去的，现在不让了。之后我到那儿去看看。
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
你为什么还要给我开右边的门？我再走这边呢？
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
这个是什么呀？7890，这啥呀？截个图。这些感觉，这世界是不是有点乱啊？就有点像《黑客帝国》一样，你知道吗？你没有按照它的逻辑去走的话，这个世界就开始有点，他为了弥补，然后把这个世界开始有点搞得乱一点了。那行吧，那只能走这边了。那这就不是我选的了，因为这只有一条路走，我其他那条路我都已经走过了。
It's ruined.
Hey?
I can't believe after everything we talked about that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
哟，哟，我现在在哪儿？
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first.
这叫什么？这叫
I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead.
这叫口嫌体正直吗？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry. Behave exactly as Stanley would. That
这就是一个
means
循
choosing
环是吧？
responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task.
如果
Just
接着
follow
走，
my
那
lead
之
and
后
you'll be
之后都
fine.
会这样
All
的
right.
是吗？那我就不
When
走了。
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
我再走一遍试试。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry. Behave exactly
这
as
就一
Stanley
样的。
would. That means choosing responsibly and always.
其实我玩游戏都是有一种我的玩法，我的玩法就是说，我想一次把那些游戏的内容跟都玩出来，我就想看看多内容而已。如果就一直走就是没什么内容的话，这就没必要走了。就是说我已经把这个都体验过了，体验过就没必要再体验一次了。行，走这儿吧。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of
去找老板。
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
杂物室开不了门了呀，这次。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
不让我走这边啦。这开不了门。老板的办公室是吧？老板办公室是哪边啊？这个是秘书的地方吧？那边应该是老板办公室。等等，刚刚这个绿色的是什么呀？看不见，算了。
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Night Shark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
这地方肯定有其他东西吧？这，你看这个。
Stanley spoke the code. Night Shark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
我感觉这后面有东西啊！你看。
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
我想把这个书柜开开。
Fine, you're not going to do it, but you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay? Stanley, please.
我现在是谁啊？
I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me?
哎，就结局啦。
Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me?
Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something. Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
最后这个造物者已经，所谓的造物者已经屈服了。你的世界都没有玩家，那你还有什么意义呢？这次这个地上怎么那么多纸啊？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
这游戏也挺有意思的，每一次玩都会有不一样的东西。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
右边其实我已经走过了，走左边吧。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish whatever it is you enjoy doing so much in this room. Please take your time.
我真的就可以就是站在这儿啥也不做吗？这个人会生气吗？好像他真的就不会说话了呀。那走吧。我又回去呢。真的就不会了。先走吧。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
这个，我下去看看，看有什么不一样。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss.
感觉是
Admitting
一
he
样
had
的。
left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley.
这次这个
Maybe
圈跟之前不一样了，
maybe I
停车
am
场没
crazy.
了。
All of my co-workers blinked that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.